straight into the line. He's advancing it right past all of my riflemen, of course. First one is covering. Mortar blasting away, getting suppressed, but of course, mortar teams don't care so much about getting suppressed. Sniper lost to the jeep up there. MG42 awfully exposed, might be cleared out in seconds. Grenadiers retaking the fuel point while this has been as well. Pulse Grenadiers not joining in, instead seizing a point instead of aiding the MG42 brethren. My goodness, force coordination is terrible. And we are seeing the jeep joining in for a bit of fun, crossing through the ditches, moving in from the north. And finding way here, one mortar rounds join in as well. Second Grenadier team really now opting for the heavy infantry approach, getting some actual troops to hold the line. And perhaps save the day for the 706th Bodenständige Grenadier Division. So plenty of Grenadiers, plenty of fun. Of course, he's just currently left behind an MG42 for me to take care of. Again, not the sort of thing you want to do. Again, why you want some actual infantry to support the MG42s, so that this is least possible for happening. And now a T-17 armored car joining in for a bit of fun as well. Grenadiers not looking too happy. And we are seeing a third Grenadier team hitting the field, apparently not expecting armored cars. A bit unfortunate. That certainly gave my T-17 in more time, and sounds like a Pulse Grenadier team was cut down right here near the marketplace. Not entirely sure what sort of this building is, in fact. Could be interesting, perhaps a watchtower, perhaps a store, perhaps a home of a curious sort. And now seizing this area, which of course rightfully belonged to me. Grenadiers taking up positions here. One with a Panzer to really aid with the anti-tank efforts, and now a pack as well. So now slightly salvaging the situation. Engineers going down. Goodness gracious, lots of Grenadiers might in fact save everything, or might not. Only time shall tell, I suppose. Grenades being dropped. I of course got pineapple grenades, and my goodness, it's not fast enough to spot it. Two Grenadiers are lost in the process. Further Grenadiers still joining in the fun. Panzer Shreks flying, damaging the T-17, and of course quick to get the T-17 out of there, out of the danger. Since Panzer Shreks have received a small accuracy buff.
We have 300 points left.
I of course certainly remember the days where the T-17 was practically a tiny Ostwind which could tear apart a tank buster team before it could even fire a second rocket. That was in fact quite depressing. And of course what spurred me on to rather use the anti-tank half-track a lot more, since I could actually deal with it. Pack moving up through the roads, through the ditches for a bit of light cover. Jeep joining in, T-17 as well, taking a few pot shots. Grenadiers moving in without support, perhaps not the best idea, and in fact T-17 gets a kill. Jeep though is blown apart by the courageous pack gunners of the Pack 38. Pack 38 by this stage of the war wasn't the most common gun, and in fact not the primary gun. Pioneers getting suppressed. No, the Pack 38 was a bit face up, but it was still used because the German army was still really desperate for Pack 30 packs, even despite the Pack 40 being the sort of gun the Marder 3 had, being the primary one. It still wasn't produced enough, so of course they had to take all those into use. The Pack 38 still being alright against Germans and the like, of course not the best. And certain less important divisions were in fact being used for these, and in fact even the Pack 37, Pack 36, also known as the Door Knocker, and my goodness, again pineapple grades are absolutely brilliant. And in fact almost cleared out this Grenadier team, and now this pack is looking awfully lonely. The Pack 40 also had the virtue of being on one of the only few larger anti-tank guns which could still actually be manhandled around any larger than that, and they in fact had to be pulled around by vehicles. Even the Pack 40 had that to a less certain degree, but it could still be moved around by crews by hand. The 17-pounder, for example, could not though, and that's why, for example, here in Company Hughes, it's not being pushed around, and it's only available as an emplacement because towing guns does not work. There's some sort of engine limitation, otherwise it would of course been towed around. It's not. Instead, it's a static emplacement. And we are seeing some riflemen sneaking about. Pioneers coming under fire, and riflemen are quick to move in. Might have dropped a grenade when troops are taking points. Dropping a grenade right there is absolutely brilliant. Certainly one of my favorite times. And another mine. Kaboom! Grenadiers hitting it, trying to take some cover up there. Perhaps get some few shots at that T-17. And T-17 finally scores a second kill. It's quite surprising though that the T-17 has perhaps been a bit too nerfed, since it can barely hit anything now, compared to, for example, the Greyhound. Riflemen moving in from across the open road. My goodness, a hiccup. Not looking good for the Major SydneyChris. Riflemen though are getting torn apart out in the open. We are seeing veterans. One for the right Grenadiers, and a pineapple grenade going off. Grenadiers quick to get out, but still 2 are down. And Pack is looking awfully lonely. Once more grenade going off, and the Pack is lost. The last man dying from shrapnel wounds and bleeding. Pack setting up in a nice position. Further Grenadiers being rushed out. Really lots and lots of Grenadiers. Not an entirely bad idea, but at the same time the way he's just losing on grenades. Not so fortunate, of course. Hadn't kept any MG42 thinks I might have been more helpful. Now a bit of strafing run fun. Going for airborne just for the hell of it. And killing the pioneers and sending those Grenadiers scouting back towards the base. Things are certainly not looking too happily for the Wehrmacht forces. And let's return to me. With access to airborne air reconnaissance and strafing runs. Oh boy. And Grenadiers were seeing a medic kit. So that was of course fun.
Front ship.
Grenadiers moving in, a bit of barbed wire here to sort of prevent any movements through here, or at least make it harder. And we are hearing some mortars thumping. This of course now being a rather nice spot to just concentrate mortar fire. And the Grenadiers are certainly caught in a small trap there. The mortar team itself is quite nicely perched up here, of course, behind heavy cover. Are harder to hit. Let's in fact look at the situation from the Grenadiers' viewpoint. Not the happiest, but they do manage to clear out some of the cover. But the mortar team doesn't really care. The Grenadiers are in fact forced to pull back, as now riflemen are joining in the fun.
Krauts are grabbing
further Grenadiers here are perhaps a last attempt. In fact, a lot of Grenadiers and awfully close to another of my mind. The 706 really pressing in all its best infantry in a last-ditch assault, going to the fuel-rich areas and really doing its best. Grenades though being dropped on the Grenadiers, again killing 2 Grenadiers. You really do get a lot for that 25 munitions. So again, if you are Americans, getting pineapple grenades can really make it. And again, a reason why you don't want dual pantry tricks for your teams. You might drop them both quite easily, and of course that only makes it much easier for me to get a lot of pantry tricks. So again, I'm really not a huge fan of doubling up on pantry tricks on your infantry teams. Grenadier teams, that is, more stormtrooper teams, and now Grenadiers slowly inching into the mine. Now getting hunted down by the T-17. Riflemen though taking quite a beating though from grenades, and of course Grenadiers who are tenaciously holding out. MG42 covering from this building, keeping this small area nice and clear of any crowds. And the Grenadiers hit another mine again. Mines are nice. It's certainly nice to see some last-ditch efforts. Of course, using Grenadiers for this is of course not entirely bad, but don't concentrate all anti-tank efforts on just one team. And what is this? A Sherman tank joining in for the fun, and even a medic station on basically by this time, and quite an easy time. But again, I really wanted to show this to you because again, there's sort of this thing I'm hearing a bit. This map is overpowered. It favors the Wehrmacht. I don't see it. Of course, I might be wrong here. Of course, I'm just facing a rank 12 Wehrmacht player that's certainly within a rather small margin of players. In fact, somewhere within 200 players. So I certainly imagine he has some sort of skill. Riflemen forced into retreat as Grenadiers are inching forward again. Nice spread, but now with the Sherman on the field, and of course the Pak 38 now a belonging to Uncle Sam. Not too happy, and now the T-17 got in by the Sherman with a 50 caliber even. Grenadier is down. And there we go. Victory for Uncle Sam as the Grenadiers are forced to pull back. The Bodenständige Grenadier Division lost in the face of superior tactics. And of course, again, what can we learn from this match? Well, if your opponent is going heavily standing in one side, ignore it and go for the rest of the map. he will probably be having a very hard time reacting to it again. What can we learn from the Wehrmacht? Don't go heavily static. For my goodness, don't. And if you get mortar fire on you, stay a bit more mobile with your support teams. Don't let them be targets for the mortars. That's a bad idea. Get more infantry, 1 foot grenadier team, and 3 MGs and a sniper is generally a bad composition. Otherwise, of course, grenadiers are nice, but of course be careful with grenades. Keep your troops together and of course try to get some support for them. And of course be careful with your packs as well. Keep them behind your infantry. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this match. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is ImperialDane saying cheers, and do be careful with your defenses.